Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Aaron Rian with the Brokerage House Realtors, and I help thousands of agents make millions of dollars in commissions in the real estate industry. And today, I'm here to talk to you about the proper way to handle objections when a prospect objects or asks you questions. So, the first thing that I'll start off with is that objections are actually a good thing for salespeople, because uninterested people who don't plan on doing business with us or that have no interest in our product or our service aren't going to ask us buying questions. And typically an objection is a buying question. Think of it this way. When you are in sales and you're giving a presentation and that person asks you a question or gives you an objection, what they're doing is they're trying to find out how they can do business with you today. Okay? Instead of looking at an objection as a bad thing or something that's a drag that you have to deal with as part of the sales process, or to get wound up and tight every single time somebody asks you an objection or a question, treat it this way. Look at them like they are just figuring out how you guys can do business right then and there, and welcome them. And look at them as good things that are coming your way, that if you answer them thoroughly and correctly, you've just increased the odds of you obtaining that business today. So the first tip that I would have for you in the objection handling process is don't treat every question like an objection, okay? That is a common mistake that I see so many salespeople make, is that they treat every question like an objection. And they start answering every question with a long dissertation of why something is the way it is. And a lot of questions can just be answered with a yes or a no. So I would encourage you, the next time a prospect asks you a question, repeat it back to yourself in your head and determine if that question can be answered with simply a yes or a no or a short answer. But don't treat every question like an objection, because if I ask you a question, something like this, now, what's your commission rate? Well, my commission is 6%. Okay, that's the answer to that, right? But what a lot of agents will do is they might get the objection or the question, and it's a question, what's your commission rate? It's 6%, because we do all this marketing and we got to pay the buyer's agent, and this is how much I make and this is how much they make and this is what you're really paying for. And if you think about it, that's not what they asked you. They just asked you what the commission rate is. So if you go off on a long-winded dissertation as to what the commission is, guess what? They're going to become more alarmed as to, wait, why did you react? Why am I getting this long answer when I was just wondering what the commission is? So you can see how by answering a question like an objection, you can spin the whole situation out of control and not be able to recover to make them comfortable enough to get them to do business with you today. So that would be the first tip that I would have for you. The second thing that I would tell you is, when you get an objection, make sure that you isolate it, okay? You want to find out what their real objection is. And their objection might be something like, I'm going to interview other realtors. Okay. So what I would say to somebody if they said that to me is, so other than needing to feel good about the process by interviewing other realtors, is there anything else that's preventing us from doing business today? Because I want to find out if that's the only objection, if it's just a smokescreen objection, or if it's real, right? And that person might say something like, no, that's really the only thing. Well, now I know that's the only issue that we're dealing with. And so then I'm going to dig into that. I'm going to say, okay, so what are you hoping that the other realtors out there are going to say to you that I haven't already said? Right? Because what I've found in my experience is typically it's price, typically it's commission, or is it the way I market a house? Or is it, my plan to be able to sell your home? Or do you just think that I'm not qualified, right? So I'm going to walk them through all those different steps and all those different topics to find out what is it that they're really concerned about. What is it that's really bothering them? That leads me to my next point, which is, you really want to ask great questions, right? When you're given an objection, ask really good questions about that objection, because you want to get to the bottom of why they're scared, what's causing them to hesitate to do business with you today, right? And the only way that you can figure that out is by asking the best questions. So asking them, if they have a commission objection, right? Well, the commission's really the only thing stopping me from doing business with you. Okay. So my question to them might be, so what were you expecting to pay? Right? What were you hoping the commission was going to be? And they might say 5%. And if I can do 5%, I might say, okay, you know what? I can do that if we can do business today. And I'm going to close that sale. I'm going to close that listing right then and there. But you have to dig in deep with the customer. You got to ask them questions about what's causing them to not want to do business with you today. Remember, the best salespeople aren't the slickest talkers. They aren't the people who know the most about a certain topic. They are typically the people who ask the best questions. So when you're given an objection, ask questions. It's the best way to find out information and will help you become more successful in the process. In real estate, objections can typically only be a few things. That's the good news about our process. And what I've found in my experience, when a seller is hesitating to do business with me, or if they're hesitating to sign a listing contract at the meeting, there's something that's not making them comfortable enough to make a decision right there at the table. So I'm going to ask great questions to figure out what that is. But what I found out is typically it has to do with a few things. Usually it's price. So they're not comfortable with the price that you gave them. So I want to find out, where were you hoping to start your home on the market? If it's price. If it's commission, how much were you hoping to pay? If it's the process in getting the home sold, what is it that you're not comfortable with? Maybe they're not comfortable with open houses. Maybe they don't think you're going to get them enough exposure in the marketplace. Maybe they think somebody else has a better marketing plan. But by asking those questions, you can figure that portion out. And then the last thing that typically I found sellers will give objections to is maybe they're giving objections because they're just not comfortable with you. And that is a hard pill for a lot of salespeople, especially with big egos, to come to grips with. That maybe they just don't like you or they're not comfortable with you. But that's okay. You need to be able to ask the question, is it me? Is it something that I did that didn't make you confident in my abilities to sell your home? And you want to just be able to identify what is really holding them back. And if it's you, what is it about you? And is it something that you can address, change, or give them better answers so that they are comfortable with you? I think that, one of the things that I would encourage you to do is go to a customer's home and you're sitting there and you're talking to them about listing that house. When you get done with that meeting, right, 9 out of 10 times, they don't have to think about if they want to sell their house, especially if you're going into a for sale by owner or a canceled listing or an expired listing. They've already shown that they have a desire to sell their house. The only question in that meeting is, are they going to sell it with you? Right? So they've already said, look, I know I need to sell my house and I have a desire and a motivation to do so. The only question at that meeting is, are they going to give that business to you? So when you go into one of these listing meetings or listing appointments, be prepared to earn their business and be prepared to get a deal done at the table, okay? You will have a much higher close rate if you do that. You'll be far more successful and probably way more efficient because you would have gotten it done in one meeting rather than having to schedule a series of follow-up meetings to obtain that same business. So hopefully you found the content that we put out today to be helpful for you and in your business. If you find our content to be helpful, hit the subscribe button and encourage us to continue making more content. If you have any questions about anything that we talked about today, make sure you leave those questions or comments in the comment section down below. We read them all and we're happy to respond to them. And I want to thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a great day.